Welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mandala Stones. This is a 2 to 4 player set collection pattern building abstract strategy game where you'll be moving artists around the main game board, gathering these Mandala Stones and creating towers on your player board to eventually score for victory points. The player with the most victory points at the end of the game is the winner. Now that we know what the winning condition is, let's take a look at the components set up and how gameplay works in Mandala Stones. Now let's take a look at the components. You have the main game board. The pattern spaces on the main game board are going to be for your Mandala Stones, and the circle spaces on the main game board are going to be for your artists. The Mandala board, this is where you'll place your Mandala Stones when you score them. The plus number spaces will gain you victory points, and the hand spaces trigger the final round based on the number of players. Artists, these will be moved on the circle spaces on the main game board. Mandala Stones, there are 2 patterns for each color, and 24 stones for each color. Cloth bag, this is to hold your Mandala Stones. Player boards, at the top of the board is your victory point track. At the bottom of the board is where you'll place your Mandala Stones in towers, and below each tower is the way that the tower is scored when you're scoring a color. Victory point scoring marker, plus 50 victory point scoring tile, objective cards, reference cards, and finally, your rulebook. Now let's take a look at the setup. We're going to be setting this up for a 3-player game which takes 9 steps. Step 1, place the main board in the center of the play area. Step 2, place all the stones in the draw bag. Step 3, draw stones. You'll draw stones one at a time and place them on the pattern spaces on the main board until there are 4 in each space. Step 4, place artists. Place a random artist on each of the circle spaces, creating a diamond, or the middle space in the 2nd and 6th row or 2nd and 6th column. Step 5, place the Mandala board next to the main board. Step 6, get player components. Each player will get a player board, scoring marker, reference card, and the plus 50 tile. Step 7, place player components. Place the player board in the center of your player area with the scoring marker on the start space. Place the plus 50 tile to the side until you go past 50 points. Step 8, get objectives. Shuffle the objective cards and deal 2 to each player. Step 9, randomly choose a start player. Now let's take a look at the gameplay. A game consists of a number of rounds made up of player turns until an in-game condition is met. When a stone is placed covering the hands equal to the number of players, this triggers the final round and the game would end at the end of the round. If a player cannot take a turn, then the game would end immediately. Player turns. Starting with the start player going clockwise, players can either pick or score. To pick, you would choose an artist on the main game board, move it to any empty circle space, and take a matching number of stones on the top of any of the surrounding stacks. When you are taking multiple top stones, you would pick one to start and, going clockwise, stack the others chosen on top of that stone. Then you would place them on an empty space on your player board. Keep in mind that you must have an empty space on your player board to take this action. To score, you may choose to score a color or any top stones. When you score a color, the color must be the top of at least 2 towers, and you would score each of those towers with that color on top. And then you would remove those top stones and place them on the Mandala board. When you place them on the board, you would place them going around, and any plus numbers would give you victory points. When scoring Tower 1, you would get a victory point for each different tower height. A height of 0 still counts for this scoring. In Towers 2 through 4, you would get victory points based on the current height of the tower. Tower 5, you would get victory points based on the number of different colors plus 1. When you choose to score any top stones, you would score victory points based on how many you remove. The color and design would not matter for this scoring. Then you would place them on the Mandala board. When you place a stone on the Mandala board, covering the number of hands equal to the number of players, it would signal the final round. We would finish that round and go to the final scoring. If a player cannot do either pick or score, the game would end immediately and go to the final scoring. The final scoring. The players would select an objective card to score and then total their victory points. The player with the most victory points wins Mandala Stones.